All right, so I want to talk briefly about the midterm and just give some more details. I think I already gave some details in a previous video and announcement, but just as I've worked through the midterm, I know a little bit more about what it's going to look like. So again, I don't have this in the announcement. So it's on Monday, April 13th. It's going to explicitly cover lectures 6 through 9. And elasticities. That's homeworks 5 and 6. So the things that you've had to do since, the homeworks that you've had to do since spring break, though some of the lecture stuff happened beforehand. So the way that the midterm is going to work, it'll be open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So anytime during that window, you can take the midterm, but you're going to have 1 hour to complete it, and you can complete it anytime in that window. The exam is open note, but it will have a binding time constraint. So as you go through and practice, you want to make sure that you can do these problems somewhat quickly. So I would go through and practice homeworks 5 and 6 sort of again and again in terms of studying, go through the handouts, go through the problems in the notes. That's what I would do, and just be aware that this is going to be a timed test. And so you just want to be aware of sort of timing on this. It's sort of the trade-off for having open notes. I prefer not to have open notes, but I don't think I can enforce that. So it's going to be a time-constrained exam. Okay, so I normally have office hours Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I don't think office hours on Monday make any sense. So instead, I'm holding office hours on Sunday rather than on Monday. So no office hours Monday. My room is this Zoom room here. You don't need to email me before arriving or anything. I probably won't be checking emails during that time. Probably the ideal thing to do is if you have a question that you want answered, shoot me an email and I'll work through it during this office hours. I imagine that there will be a number of people in the room. So it'll be hard to sort of, have an order for whose question to take. So I think if I can get them beforehand, that would be helpful. Okay, in terms of, so you're going to have an hour to complete the exam. You're going to have to complete it all at once. So my Econ Lab will tell you how much time you have remaining during the test. So here, I want to make sure that I handle this sort of fairly, and I may not be in front of my computer all day on Monday. So if you have a issue with like getting logged in and getting logged out, email me immediately to let me know. But I think the way to handle this fairly is I'm not going to be answering sort of clarification questions at all. Hopefully the exam is clear and the questions are clear. But that type of thing, just, so you're not lucky and sort of have me in front of my email. I think the way to handle that uniformly is just, I'm not going to answer clarification questions. In terms of the number of questions, there's going to be 7 multiple choice questions, though so there'll be like 7 questions, but a few of them have multiple parts. And so there'll be 10 total multiple choice questions. That's going to count for 20% of your grade, just like the midterm, just like midterm 1. But these are going to be like actual multiple choice questions like you see in the homework. So it's not going to be, you need to justify an answer or anything like that. These are just, click A, B, C, or D. And then there are going to be 10 math questions, like the question, the questions that require you to enter a number into my Econ Lab. So ones that take a little bit more math. So there will be 10 of them. I think that seems long, though both me and the TA were able to do the exam in under 20 minutes. So our hope is that's a reasonable amount of time. For most of you, but for some of you that may leave a binding time constraint. Okay, so I'm going to change the settings so that you can review the exam and how you did after 9 p.m. on Monday, or I'll set the settings. At the moment, the way that I'm handling the preview, I can see sort of how I'm doing on questions as I go. I'm trying to not have that setting be the case. It might be, it's just hard for me to tell. I've never done an exam on Pearson before. So you may know earlier than that, but at the latest, 9:15 p.m., you'll know sort of your raw score on Pearson. Okay. The reason that you might not fully know your score is because we want to do some sort of partial credit and just making sure grades are accurate. And we don't know exactly how to do that, so we're going to try doing it this way to sort of see if this works at least reasonably well, right? So for my Econ Lab, Pearson will give partial credit, but that it's a little bit unforgiving if you're close or made an algebra mistake. So we're going to try an experiment, and if this is too much of a mess, we may not do this on the final. But we're going to try to do this here so that you can both make sure that you've been graded fairly and that you can get some partial credit. So here's what we're going to do. So we're going to have you submit pictures of your written work to this Gmail account, ugaecon4010@gmail.com, within 30 minutes of when your exam is over, okay? So the idea, like, I don't want you to use exam time to like make your work like especially pretty. So I want to give you some time to do that afterwards, just because human beings are going to grade this, and it's just helpful if you can have sort of clean work that's sort of well organized. So we want to make sure that you have some time to do that beyond just answering questions. Okay, so within 30 minutes of when your time is up, when your hour is up, we'd like you to send this email just so that you don't have like all day to make new handwritten work, but we do want you to clean things up. So first, things that we want you to do during that 30-minute period, put question numbers on each page and circle them so that when we go through and look at your work, we know exactly sort of what problems you're working on. If you want to clean up your work a little bit, go for it. But again, you only have 30 minutes, so the goal here isn't for you to redo all of your work, but we do want nice work. Circle your answers, things that take some time that you wouldn't necessarily, I know that there's a time constraint on getting the answers into Pearson. That should be your priority. So, doing things like circling your answers can happen afterwards. And then basically take pictures of all of your work that you want us to consider for grading, and email your work to this account, ugaecon@gmail.com. Please do this within 30 minutes. Yeah, okay. In that email, what I want is for you to put your last name and then your first name in the subject line and then midterm 2. So like I would put Eli, Liebman, midterm 2. And then try to, if you can, keep all of your emails in the same email chain. So forward or reply and resend that email just so that it's easy on our end that I have 130 students. So if I can only have 130 emails, that would be great. If I have 10 emails per student, this is going to get unwieldy pretty fast. The other thing is I want to see your work that shows how you got to the answer that you put into My Econ Lab. So, it's cool if in the next 30 minutes you can get yourself to the right answer. That's not what I'm looking for. I want to see how you got to what you entered in your final answer so that I know, the steps that you actually took to get the answer that you found in that timeline. So make sure that you're doing that. Sometimes with regrades, people will like fix their answers and show me, how to get to the right answer, and that's not what I want. Okay. So then after the due date, it's going to be your responsibility to come back and review your exam. So after Monday, 9 or 9:15 p.m., I want you to go back and look for both sort of partial credit. So if you got marked wrong on something, but you have work that gave you, or you think we should give you or consider partial credit, or if, Pearson didn't grade something properly, right? So if it, sometimes it can be really nasty about, it wants quotes or it doesn't want quotes, or you put in a fraction, 100 over 5, but it wants a 20, or you put in a 20 and it wants 100 over 5, right? If there's something like that, I want to know about it. And those are the types of things that I want you to email us about. But I'm going to leave that on you to let me know about it. So Thursday, 9 p.m. on Thursday, Eastern time, send an email in that exact same chain, just letting us know which ones we should look at. If there are questions that require partial credit, it would be awesome if you could resend that picture of your work, just so that we can look at it quickly, and then we'll go back and verify that, in the original 30 minutes you sent that problem. But you don't have to tell us anything. You don't have to explain. If you just want to say, hey, look at question 4, here's my work for partial credit, or, hey, I think question 8 was right, but like Pearson, just didn't, isn't flexible enough to understand that my answer is right. That's all that we need, and we're going to try to do this in a sort of timely and organized manner as best we can. Yeah.